Your phone runs software that started as a camera OS. Not a phone OS, a camera. Google bought it anyway. Best decision in tech history. Android 1.0 launched in 2008. No copy-paste, no app store on day one. People called it unfinished. They weren't wrong. The first Android phone was the HTC Dream. It had a physical keyboard that slid out. Gen Z has no idea what that is. Android 1.5, Cupcake. First version with an actual name. Also the first version where you could record video. In 2009, wild. Cupcake also added the on-screen keyboard. Before that, you needed physical buttons to type. Every single letter. Android 1.6, Donut, added search across your entire phone. Seemed small, changed everything about how people used apps. Then came Android 2.0, Eclair. This one added Google Maps navigation. Free, turn by turn. GPS companies lost billions in one day. Garmin stock dropped 16% the day Google announced free navigation. TomTom dropped 21% because of a software update. Android 2.2, Froyo, added the mobile hotspot feature. Your phone became a Wi-Fi router. Carriers hated it, users loved it. Froyo also made Android 450% faster. Not a typo, 450%. One update, same hardware, completely different phone. Android 2.3, Gingerbread, released December 2010, stayed relevant until 2013. Some phones ran it until 2015. It refused to die. Gingerbread powered over 50% of all Android devices at its peak. It was the Windows XP of mobile. Everyone used it. No one wanted to leave. Then Google tried something insane. Android 3.0, Honeycomb, built only for tablets, not phones, only tablets. It flopped spectacularly. Honeycomb was so unfinished, Google refused to release the source code. For an open source operating system, let that sink in. Android 4.0, Ice Cream Sandwich. This is where Android stopped looking embarrassing. Finally, a design that didn't hurt your eyes. ICS introduced Face Unlock in 2011. You could unlock your phone with your face, 4 years before iPhone even tried it. But here's the problem. Face Unlock worked with a photo, literally a printed photo. Security theater at its finest. Android 4.1, Jelly Bean. Google's secret weapon, Project Butter. The goal was simple, make everything run at 60 frames per second. Before Jelly Bean, Android felt laggy. Everyone knew it. Even Android fans admitted it. Project Butter fixed that almost overnight. Jelly Bean also added Google Now. It predicted what you needed before you searched. In 2012, your phone knew your flight time before you asked. Android 4.4, KitKat. Named after a chocolate bar, because Nestle paid for the branding. A $1 trillion company sold its OS name for candy. KitKat was designed to run on phones with only 512 megabytes of RAM, so cheap Android phones could finally get modern software. Brilliant strategy. At launch, there were 1 billion Android devices. Half of them couldn't run the latest version. KitKat was Google's fix for that problem. Android 5.50, Lollipop. The biggest visual redesign in Android history. Material design. Everything got shadows, animations, and depth. Lollipop also introduced battery saver mode, because before that, Android would just drain your battery until it died. No warnings, no mercy. But Lollipop had one massive problem. Memory leaks. Your phone would slow down for no reason. Restart. Slow down again. Everyone hated it. Android 6.0, Marshmallow. Fixed the memory leaks. Added doze mode. Your phone stopped wasting battery when you weren't using it. Finally, Marshmallow also introduced per-app permissions. Before this, apps could access your camera, microphone, and location with 0 questions asked. Android 7.0, Nougat. Split-screen multitasking. 2 apps side by side. Samsung had done it for years. Google finally made it official. Nougat also rewrote the entire update system. Updates installed in the background. No more staring at Android is upgrading for 20 minutes. Android 8.0, Oreo. Added picture-in-picture. YouTube in a tiny window while you text. Sounds small. Changed how people used phones forever. Oreo also introduced notification dots. Little badges on app icons showing unread alerts. iOS had this for years. Android users pretended they didn't care. Android 9, Pie, killed the navigation buttons, replaced 3 buttons with 1 gesture bar. Half the users hated it, the other half still hate it. Pie also used machine learning to predict which apps you'd open next, and preloaded them in RAM. Your phone got smarter by just using it. Android 10, no dessert name. Google quietly dropped the tradition because international markets didn't know what a nougat was. Fair point. Android 10 added system-wide dark mode. Every app, every menu, every notification, 1 toggle. Billions of eyes said thank you simultaneously. Android 10 also introduced scoped storage. Apps could no longer read every file on your phone. Privacy, finally, taken seriously. Android 11 added a dedicated conversations section in notifications. Messages from real humans separated from app spam. Sounds obvious, took 13 years. Android 12, the biggest visual overhaul since Lollipop. Material U. Your wallpaper now controls the entire color scheme of your phone. Android 12 also added a privacy dashboard showing exactly which apps accessed your camera and mic. Some apps got caught doing things they shouldn't. Android 13 focused on tablets and foldables. Google finally admitted Android on tablets was a disaster for 10 years. Better late than never. Android 14 added satellite messaging support. No cell signal, no Wi-Fi. Your phone can still send an emergency message from a mountain. Android 15, theft detection lock. Your phone detects if someone snatches it and runs. Locks itself automatically. AI protecting your data in real time. So which version actually won? Not the flashiest, not the newest. The one that made the biggest real-world impact was Android 2.2, Froyo. 450% speed boost, mobile hotspot, flash support, app updates in the background. One update that made the entire platform feel legitimate. But if we're talking design peak, Android 12. Material U was the first time Android felt like it had a soul, not just a feature list. And if you want the most underrated version, KitKat. It ran on anything. It brought modern Android to 1 billion budget phones worldwide. 15 years, 20+ versions, 1 operating system on 3 billion devices. And it started as software for a camera. What a weird, perfect story.